Welcome to Lessons in Dyslexic Thinking, conversations with some of the world's most inspiring dyslexics, where we learn what dyslexic thinking is and how we can employ it to change the world. In this very special episode, we joined brilliant dyslexic thinker Jamie Oliver at his headquarters, just as he was filming his Channel 4 documentary on dyslexia. We hope you enjoy the podcast. Today, I'm joined by the incredible chef, activist, and brilliant dyslexic thinker, Jamie Oliver. Thank you so much, Jamie, for chatting to me today.
My pleasure.
You have inspired people worldwide to have a go in the kitchen and to eat well. With millions watching your TV shows, you are Britain's best-selling non-fiction writer. Is that right, best-selling?
Yeah, big it up, go on.
Best-selling non-fiction writer.
This is my moment.
And you've also led brilliant campaigns for like the healthy food revolution. You've said, my strength is just a complete obsession to empower and teach people to cook. And it's that simple.
Yeah.
All of that sounds like dyslexic thinking to me. So it's amazing to be here today. Thank you for welcoming us to your headquarters.
Thanks for the intro. I love that. I need a bit of massaging of my ego these days as I head to my 50th year on the planet Earth.
No, you don't look 50, Jamie.
Thank you. Keep it going. This interview's going so well.
Good.
Dyslexic thinking coming both ways.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it'll get even better, hopefully, when we start exploring it. So let's kick off by telling us more about your dyslexic thinking and why you think it helps you to do what you do.
Well, I think at its kind of purest, dyslexic thinking is just an acceptance that you see things or can do things differently. And if it's reading that you struggle with, or writing or spelling or organising your thoughts, it's just acceptance of that and then thinking, right, cool. If it was a circuit board, like how do you get around that? How do you wire around it? So literally all I've ever done is use my other skills, getting stuff done, doing stuff, turning up early, leaving late, building teams, like engaging people, creating cultures and having missions. The first time I ever made money, I invested it in people. I've just tried to grow a team that basically are a patchwork quilt of all my weaknesses. And if you look out in the office, there's quite a lot. But I think, I think it's a real acceptance of your weaknesses. Like, for instance, with the campaigning, having a relationship with the campaigning, that was never a plan. That was just an outcome of being exposed to a lot of things. So I've never really just talked about stuff. I've always travelled there, gone there, been there, done it, smelt it, felt it, and kind of been on the front line. So whether we were talking about school dinners or if it was the setting up of 15, which kind of got me closer to prisons and crime and gangs and sort of children that were on the wrong side of the law. Like, I never just talked about it. I was in it. And I think, I don't know if it's a dyslexic thing or not, but when I'm in it, I think it just changes me. Probably genetically, it just reprograms my brain, and I just submerge myself in it, and I feel it, and then before you know it, you're campaigning because it's wrong. So I think my compass of right and wrong and getting shit done, and that's been part of my journey of dyslexia, I think. At the same time, I think I kept it quite quiet. I didn't really talk about it for many, many years, probably not until you guys started up. And I don't think many people did. And I think to this day, everyone's quite ashamed. I think a lot of people are ashamed by ADHD, ADD, dyslexia, ASD, autism. I get it, but I think that's kind of cultural. And there's always that hatred of labels. So labels are important because we need labels to understand a specific thing, but also we might need to get a diagnosis that gives us access to funding or help or some kind of hope when you're failing within a certain system. But at the same time, labels can be like flags, and they can be, a problem. So I think we're in this amazing moment where people are learning and know so much more about neurodiversity and those challenges and the I guess, facets of those people. And I think it's ultimately about everyone understanding each other a bit more.
And you being able to understand yourself as well, I think. So
definitely. And not being ashamed.
But it's interesting when you talk about what you do, and from the campaigning perspective, dyslexic thinkers feel very deeply about things. They feel injustice very deeply, and so many brilliant campaigners.
It's such, oh my God, it's such a ball and chain. Honestly, it's literally like it's like taking the blue pill. Not that blue pill. What's the matter with you? No, the other blue pill in the Matrix. It's really weird, man. Once you get into the vibe of caring, because you can't care and then be a hypocrite, or care but then don't care. Like once you get into something that's wrong, the worst bit for me is that I'm known for it. So people think I'm good at it and they expect it. And it's like, even this documentary that I'm making, like is I'm really proud to do it and I'm happy to do it. You know, I hope we do a good enough job that's fit for purpose for the problem, because the problem is epic.
Yeah,
and it's always been like an honour to be held up as a dyslexic succeeder, I guess, you know. And it is like actually hilariously ironic that I think I'm the second most published author in the country, but if you'd have seen my school reports, and if you'd have seen Dyslexic Jamie at 10, 15, if you'd seen me in the attic of the school in special needs, it's like, no way. But I think so I'm happy to be held up and shown to the world as hope. If you can, I mean, it's the one, in the story of polishing a turd. I mean, that's literally, that's a pretty big transformation. Do you know what I mean? But I so believe in hope. And I think for the bashed and the broken-hearted dyslexic and neurodiverse kids that have had their sort of self-worth eroded, and kind of, stamped with problem child and not quite understood, maybe a tiny bit of training might have helped, a totally different pathway for that kid. And it's really holding the country back.
That's why we need people who feel and want to create change. But also, just getting back to what you said at the beginning, having this amazing team around you, again, that is dyslexic thinking. It's understanding where your strengths are, delegating your challenges, and then team building this team of passionate people and looking after them and making sure that they follow your vision and are part of what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm 50 nearly, and I'm still getting to know myself. And there's a few different Jamies, do you know what I mean? The sort of default Jamie's sort of happy-go-lucky, jovial, not very good jokes, pretty low-fi to be fair. But I do quite a lot of them, so it's a numbers game. But I think there's definitely benefit to dyslexic thinking because it becomes more galactic and sort of more three-dimensional. And I think the concept of feeling and injecting feeling and thought and culture into things. We're often good at the hard things like that, making people feel real culture instead of fake culture. But I think also, I'm starting, even through this process of the documentary, I'm starting to identify where I've delegated walls of things that I'm not good at. The fact that I haven't really made any effort to try and take any of those walls down or have a few little holes through them. I think that's probably been the reason that, a high proportion of my businesses have failed, because I've delegated too much trust in the wrong area at the wrong time, and it's bitten me up the arse.
But every business person's have failures. Yeah. It's how you bounce back from those failures.
My average used to be 50%. It might be 65 at the moment. But, I think it's constant polishing, really.
So how do you recover from failure?
Well, it's pretty brutal. you just dust down and start again, and try and see what your core principles and the thing that's most, people most want from you. I think, we've always had our core of stuff that we're really good at, and our job in a really nice way is to stretch, like where and how can food go, and how can making things better. Our job ultimately is to educate and lift standards in food. And if we don't do that, we shouldn't be doing it. I mean, the food industry is such a beautiful industry, and in all of its different ilks. So from, school dinners was 20 years ago. And
I started doing my dyslexia campaigning 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So maybe this will be the turning point, Jamie.
Well, it's so interesting. It's like there's so much daft stuff that goes on. I mean, like even something simple like, all right, Jamie, has school dinner's got better? Yes, it has. Well, has it really got better? Well, definitely excellent is a lot more common. Definitely good is a lot more common. And definitely everything's gone up a bit. But there's still 40% that's totally unacceptable. And that 40% is my guess. But the reason I can't give you any specifics is because the government don't measure on it. There's nothing. All this money goes to powering all these schools, 24,000 schools, feeding all these kids, and we've got the standards that are not perfect but pretty good, and we don't know about compliance. So, do you know, government is so weird because they look at compliance as in getting a bad mark back. Do you know, like some people just have a disease of not wanting to have bad news. And I don't see it as bad news. If I see a school that's struggling, then I'm not thinking, oh, you naughty, terrible people. It's like, you need help.
Yes, what can you do to make it right?
Yeah, because every school's different. Some are up mountains, some are on beaches, some are in cities, some are in villages. Some are built to work and function because they're big, and big normally means they're efficient. And some are literally in Timbuktu, and you've got like a couple of, home ovens and 50 kids that by law need to be fed. And of course they're going to struggle. So like there's not one kitchen that's the same. But, so you would say, well, why isn't there compliance? And it's because the government don't want to know the truth. I mean, how basic is that as a problem? I mean, but that would never happen in a business.
No, you need to know what the problem is so you can put it right.
Yeah, and if I look at what's happened in the last 20 years, like it's nowhere near enough. Like what we know and what we're aware of and the actions, that is pretty unimpressive in 20 years. Even on a good day, it's unimpressive. So the only difference between that thinking is like we've got this thing called AI and a very creaking system. Part of me thinks that it's getting so stressed and bad that that's a point of reflection and bounce back. Do you know what I mean? Like the only way is up is when you've gone quite low. I think we might be like we're not in a great place. So I'm thinking that AI, digital revolution, and the fact that we have to reframe education. There's absolutely no reason why every child can't have access to shine.
With AI, it can personalise learning.
The potential for dyslexic and neurodiverse kids and to really understand their flavour. Because you'll know better than me. I didn't even know until this experience how different dyslexics are.
Yeah, it's
I'm surprised.
A whole
and I
different
am one.
range of strengths and challenges, yeah.
And so I think, but also what I love about what I think I love about my obsession for this possible dreamy moment of change, which is much deserved, is that it's not just about the dyslexic kids or the neurodiverse kids, it's about every kid. Do you know what I mean? Like everything required to do this better just makes everything better.
Exactly, and it makes the skills that dyslexic kids have and neurodiverse kids have are the skills that the world needs. So it's about really helping all kids to develop.
If you've got a class that can learn better, that's 25% dyslexic or neurodiverse, and new strategies of teaching and supporting allows the whole lot to come up, that's also the workplace. We've got a lot of work to do in the next 20 years. Is there anyone brave enough in government? It would be interestingly unique to not just plug the holes, but actually have the drains up and actually reimagine school.
let's hope that the work that we're both doing will help to make that work. But I want to get on to cooking now.
Go for it.
Lots and lots and lots of the world's greatest chefs are dyslexic. Why do you think that is?
I think lots and lots of the world's dyslexics love Lego. Lego's a bit like cooking, really. You know, you get a bunch of stuff, do stuff to it, and you end up with something, and in our case, you can eat it. In a world for many that is like, doesn't make sense, you know, like you've got lots of great ideas up here, but you can't get it on paper. When you're working with Play-Doh or pasta, same gravy, you know. When you're working with Lego and Meccano, or building things, or like building a beef Wellington or a cake, you know, it's an adventure, it's exciting, you know, it's biology, it's maths, it's science, it's nutrition, it's like, you know, it's got everything going for it. You touch it, feel it, it's very visceral.
So dyslexics are very multisensory. We use lots of different senses to process information and do what we do. So do you think that helps with cooking? It would seem to make sense.
I think so. But also I think there is potentially a tradition of like dyslexics feeling worthless and a bit beaten by the system. So they kind of find pleasure in things that give them pleasure, and that's making things. And so you'll probably see a pattern of like art, the arts, music.
Lots of creative industries.
Which I think is true, super true. I mean, I think dyslexics are beyond that, but I think that is true. But I also think it's a reaction to finding something when they feel they've got nothing to offer. So, do you know what I mean? Like, life is pretty simple. Like, you end up doing a bunch of stuff, and if you get positive reinforcement for doing something, you go back to it again and again.
Is that what happened to you when you discovered cooking as a kid?
Yeah, definitely. Like, cooking definitely saved me is probably like a big word, but it really did. And I think when it was all kicking off at school, although I've got my own baggage to deal with, I would say, if I'm honest, it's on the low scale. Like, it's definitely in there. You know, there's something in me that's upset, and I'm trying to work out what it was. And I'm seeing it in other people as I do this documentary in greater form. It's the same flavour of sort of like, I think it's just childhood trauma of being thought of as being thick, stupid, dumb, right? So I think that's basically it. It's that flavour. But although I think I did well, because I found cooking really unusually young, like 10. I was getting paid for cooking at around 10, 11.
So what were you doing?
I was working at the weekends for mum and dad in a pub, in essentially a regimental French structured kitchen with 6 chefs in there, butchering, fishmongery. Like, I didn't know my mum and dad were like early pioneers of gastropubs. Like, we made everything from pasta to desserts, you know, French, Italian, Swiss meringue, like ice cream sorbets. Like, nothing was bought in, you know. I was chipping. I was chipping chips, like sacks of chips, standing on a crate because I was so small with a knife bigger than my arm, chipping like a mofo, you know, at 10. Rattle, brrr, done. Bucket, water, kilos, bags, sacks, drag, blanch, fry, you know, roast potatoes, massive Yorkshires, lobsters, crabs. Like, I thought it was normal. It was like Willy Wonka. It was absolutely bonkers. Like, I didn't ever know how clever mum and dad were. And they started off poor. So I was born into a very, very rough council estate in like Grays, Essex, you know, sort of estuary, London, rough as old boots, violent. And as soon as my sister was born, Dad was like, you know, so he'd saved a bit of money, borrowed some off his dad, and borrowed some from the bank, and bought our pub in North Essex in a little village called Clavering in 72 hours. And it was like ratty. I don't remember it, but Mum said it was ratty, stunk, just like horrible, and like clean paint. But Dad just got the food in. So the concept of a pub was always like community and beer. low ceilings and fireplaces, but good food, roasted like legs of ham and proper ham sandwiches.
So it's doing simple things really well.
Yeah,
by the sounds of it.
my dad's definitely dyslexic, and he even probably had a worse time at school than me. He never went to school. Everyone would walk to school. He'd walk with them, and at the end, he'd just go right into the forest. He used to like walk around the forest, sort of scrumping and with a 20 bore 410 shotgun, getting game and cooking it, and like he didn't go to school much, and and he'd get a hiding at school from a teacher, and his dad would have to go up to school and sort the teacher out. It was like a different era. But dad is definitely dyslexic.
And it sounds like you said he was very pioneering in what he did.
Yeah, he was a doer. He
Yeah.
literally would say something and do it, and actually, if you look in life, how many people say stuff and never do it? So I think that was like. But he was a hard taskmaster in a nice way. Had a lovely childhood.
And starting early, doing cooking early. So many dyslexic chefs have started early, just getting in there and starting from the ground up and doing everything. Is that important, do you think?
Yeah, because I think other than the kind of commerce of earning, in those days it was £1 an hour. I think when I was 12, I was on £1.20 an hour. But £1.20 an hour was still 120 penny sweets. Not good for your nutrition or your teeth, but it's a currency. Cola bottles, aniseed twists, pineapple cubes, Army and Navy. But yeah, I think other than the idea of doing something and getting, money back for it, you're gaining skills. So I was making pasta at 13. No one was eating fresh pasta in Essex. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. We just what we would do. But it was like, wow. Eggs, flour, shapes, sizes. So I think that was happening in tandem with at school. Cross. Black mark. And what was hilarious, and even at a young age, when I was I would have been 10. So even I knew, I was going to parents' evening and I got a really bad report in class 4, so I would have been 10. And mum and dad were there, and mum's traditionally super bright, great speller, and dad was looking at my work and it was Jamie Oliver, and it's it was clearly really shit. It's completely illegible, really crap expressions of work, and really low marks. And my dad was going, son, I mean, what's going on? I mean, and he was sort of not pleased with my effort. And I even remember looking up at him going, but you're worse than me. I didn't say it. I was thinking Dad, I know. And I think he was playing the father act. But I mean, I know Dad wasn't worried because he knew I could cook. So in his language of living and life and success, he knew I had that. So he wasn't worried. And I actually wasn't worried. So now I'm looking at the bigger picture, learning about all of this that you live in every day. I'm definitely a lucky one. I have been cracking open some of the sadness and some of the little weird bits that are not very nice. I think it's fine, but better out than in. But what that makes me aware of is I am one of the lucky ones. There's a lot of pain out there, and I'm feeling that. So that deserves sort of some thought and some respect.
But thinking about your journey and what you've achieved, you're a best-selling author, or Britain's best-selling non-fiction author. You do create incredible books, everything that you do with your TV shows. How do you think your dyslexic thinking has helped you to create all of that? Because it's sort of every single angle of cooking seems to be all about you bringing it all together to help people to cook.
I think to have a career more than 3 or 4 years in my game is quite impressive. The media industry's savage, and a lot of people get eaten up and spat out. I think to smash 25 years is quite something. I think from my own point of view, on one side, you're having to pitch to a commissioner to get a program, which is very hard. At the same time, like, my main goal is to get people cooking and empowered, and whether it's through fun or romance, or like, you can do it, or this could work for you. Just imagine your life with this, and the simplicity and breaking it down. And I've gone to start sort of recipes that could be just like quite good, but just like breaking it down into a way that feels more graphic and simple, and that's how you do it. That's what a portion of veg is. Oh my God, I got 5 portions of veg in that one meal, and it's still scrumptious and lovely and indulgent and delicious. Like, so there's this kind of 3-dimensional way that you can make something really sexy. And also that same recipe will mean different things to different people because they're absorbing it in different ways. So like, for me personally, like, the set, the recipe, how it's taught, how it's presented, the cameras, how many cameras, the lenses, the close-ups, like the music, the graphics. And if you fight, like really fight, then hopefully your show will be better than the next person's, and hopefully you don't get fired, so you get another year. And then that's the theory. And it sounds like I'm being dramatic, but like, I'm really fireable and I'm totally disposable. No, honestly, everyone says that and does the same thing. Totally fireable. Like, literally, I can't even think of a contract that I've got that's like more than like 4 months. So like, I think from a dyslexic thinking point of view, like, you know, look, even there's people in the room with me today that, like, when we went into lockdown on Friday, like, we're going into lockdown on the Monday, like, and I'm looking around the room going, let's not go home. Let's work through the weekend. Let's make the first, fastest, bespoke lockdown cooking show that's not even commissioned yet. Right? Let's just go into production now. They were selling out of ingredients in the supermarkets. So we started writing recipes with things they could get. So I think that's part of dyslexic thinking. Just like, you know, get on with it, kick, bollock, scramble. Like, let's react to the situation quickly and then make something that's useful. And I don't know if you remember that lockdown show, but it was sort of...
Yeah, I do.
It was
brilliant.
You could tell the lockdown in my eyes. You knew I was going through what you were going through. At the end of the week, my veg was looking tired like yours because I wasn't getting preferential. Like, I got 80 things in a bag like you got, you know. And it was so funny because there's my exec producer that's in the room now was kind of going, it would be really nice if we could not have another rice dish because you've done that on Wednesday. And I'm like, it's all I've got. It's like the freezer's nearly empty and I've got a tatty old bit of this. But of course, that was us.
But what an amazing thing to just turn around on a sixpence. I mean, that really is dyslexic thinking, isn't it? To just...
I think so. I think because one of your assets is getting shit done. And one of the blockers to lots of sensible people is like procrastination. So I'm not saying it will go well all the time, but certainly getting stuff done and having a vision and getting people on a journey sort of often can create some lovely moments.
And I think just your example of keeping it simple with cooking, making sure that everything you put around it is all very multisensory. It looks good, it feels good, it smells good. Everything around it is definitely dyslexic thinking.
If you think about it, like, and this sounds like I'm bigging myself up, but you have to get beyond that, right? Just let me be honest.
Just big yourself up.
If you look at my career and my books, if you say, like, we've done over 50 million books, like, selling 10,000 books is really good. To sell 30,000 books is a phenomena. You're in the top 3%, right? So what's happened to us, or me, is very unusual. So to do it once or twice, you can do it in luck. But to do it for 25 years is really, really interesting. So if you think about dyslexic thinking, one pan wonders. Like, right, people hate washing up. This will be your in point. Because my belief is anyone can come into cooking at any point. People hate shopping lists, 5 ingredients. Like, people have got no time, 30-minute meals. People have got no time, 15-minute meals. You know, it's sort of like... people
finding
are unhealthy,
solutions.
They're confused, like everyone's contradicting each other, superfood. You know what I mean? So it's like, and when we did one pan wonders, because I think some of our journalists were dyslexic, that they probably heard 1 pound wonders and we were going into the credit crunch and cost of living crisis. And I went, what? And they went, we thought it was 1 pound wonders. I went, oh no, And in 3 weeks, we turned around a whole series, making recipes for £1. This next door was a whole newsroom taking the average price of the same ingredients across the 4 biggest supermarkets. And do you know what I mean? So like, it is like, but really that's about the name of the book. Do you know what I mean? So so I think some of my books are solution books, and I think it's got dyslexic code all over it. And if you look at the page, it's like fighting for white space, fighting for order. If you saw me edit my books, you'd find it quite fascinating. I edit pages so there's no run over. So it's just blocks of text. I fight for white space. If I'm writing recipes, if you look at old recipes, it'll be 175 grams of this, 320 grams of that. You'll never get that with me. It's quite modular. Like a pack of butter is 250 grams, right? So it'll be half a pack or a whole pack. If it's 100 grams or 200 grams, you won't see odd numbers. So it's not just words that kind of mess with my brain. It's like numbers piss me off too. So if I can write a recipe, if I had a choice to give you a recipe that was the best recipe on the planet, that was annoying, I would rather give you a really, really easy recipe that was like 85% good, right? So it sounds really weird, right? But I want, like, if I can go 200 grams of butter, 200 grams of sugar, 200 grams of almond flour, 2 eggs, 2 pinches of cinnamon, two. Like if you look in my books, you'll go, oh, here he is, and another one. And it's not just repeats. It's also 1, 2, 3, 4. Like you'll see that as well. So what I'll try and do is I'll try and break the recipe. Sometimes you can't do it, and you just have to, succumb to reality. But what you'll see in my recipes, and I think this is why people come back, is because I try and write recipes that you can kind of memorize.
But it also keeps it simple. Nobody wants to fiddle around. You just want to sort of get it done, really, don't you? Which is why I think everything you do is so successful.
And step by steps and images and the fact that like step by step, even in my first book, like where words couldn't quite describe something, when you're rolling it and wrapping it and tying it, a picture does it all.
So it's been really, really fascinating chatting to you, Jamie. I can see dyslexic thinking all over everything that you do career-wise. Here's a question for you. What do you think your 7-year-old self would think about where you are now and what you're doing?
Oh, goodness, he wouldn't recognise me at all. He wouldn't recognise me at all.
Do you think he'd be proud of you? Do you think he'd be proud of what you're doing?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. He wouldn't be developed enough to understand how the concepts of such a lot of the meaning of the stuff that I do, because food gets straight to the home and straight to the heart, and because food can be fun and cute, but it can also save lives and be a lifeline. He wouldn't be able to compute, but I think he'd be proud of me. I think he would think it was really fun being creative and artistic, and I think even when I got an A in art, which is my only good GCSE, I really am a shit artist, really bad. But what I did do, and because I've got the permission of art being subjective, I did a lot of mosaics and printing and sculpting, and even that wasn't very good. But I think my artistic enthusiasm was what I got an A for. I think the exciting thing about my career is I'm so far away from the kid at school. There's very little left of me from that, So I think what's exciting about my journey is, I'm not sure if it's dyslexia. I think it probably is dyslexic thinking. I always tell my kids this, and when I speak to young people, it's like, try and push yourself. It's really, try and push yourself to do things that because you shouldn't really put a label on what you think you are. It's very easy to be comfortable and loop. And it's very scary doing something new. But I think once you break the seal and you do it enough, you get, I think maybe that's why dyslexics and trying and failing and dusting down and going again and again, I think there's definitely something in that.
Well, it's amazing advice for anybody to just know how to dust yourself off, get back up again, and really find something you're passionate in and do it.
Having a handle, trying to have some good conversations with yourself, which sounds a bit weird, you know, every morning when you brush your teeth, you know, choosing to be happy. I know it's easier said than done. It sounds really patronising. I say it to my kids all the time, you know, choosing to be like glass half full, choosing to sort of like have a go, you know, sort of trying to stretch yourself. It's really, I mean, it's amazing what's out there. I mean, all the stuff I've been able to learn in the last 20 years has been amazing. And even today was amazing. Just like hearing, you know, today I was with a 23-year-old that sort of is ADD and, you know, fell through the cracks in school, ended up in jail, lived with crackheads in crack dens, and just like it all went completely wrong. But like through baking and becoming an entrepreneur, you know, he's 23 and he's running his business, and like it's like it does happen. I mean, but it's yeah, I think also when you're 50 or older and you've got a few years on you, when you look at those young people, you obviously see yourself in them, but it feels like a responsibility to sort of, it's amazing really. But then you go back a week and I was in the primary school with like the 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, and you got the teacher that's passionate but pulling her hair out because she hasn't quite got the training or had the training or got the resource that she needs. All the will is there. So,
well, that seems like a really good place to finish, because I know we're running out of time and everybody's telling us we need to stop chatting.
Cool.
I could chat to you for hours.
No, I'm so dyslexic that I just randomly change the subject and go.
Listen, that's just it's the way it goes.
It's like,
I just wanted to say massive thank you and really, really good luck in everything you're doing.
Thank you.
And you know, anything we can do to help, we'd love to.
No,
it's amazing.
thank you. Well, look, I hope I don't let you down.
You won't.
You know, if we're lucky, we'll be able to tell a story, and hopefully between all of us sort of have a little moment where we can get a slightly enlightened understanding and spotlight put on this area. And
all those brilliant kids the help they need to be able to shine bright.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you more.
If you'd like to find out more about what dyslexic thinking skills are and how to recognise them in schools, at work or at home, you can take our free training now. Empowering Dyslexic Thinking in Schools, available on Microsoft Learn, and Empowering Dyslexic Thinking at Work, available on LinkedIn Learning. And please subscribe so you don't miss out on future lessons in dyslexic thinking.